Once upon a time, nestled in a valley cradled by rolling hills, lay a peaceful village. The air was sweet with the scent of wildflowers and freshly baked bread, and the villagers lived a simple, honest life. Every morning, as the sun painted the sky in shades of rose and gold, a young shepherd boy would lead his flock of sheep up to the verdant hillside to graze. His name was Peter. The hillside was a world of its own. Ancient gnarled olive trees provided shade, and a gentle breeze whispered through the tall grasses, making them dance and sway. From his vantage point, Peter could see the whole village below the red-tiled roofs, the winding stone paths, and the tiny figures of the villagers going about their day. It was a beautiful sight, but for a boy brimming with energy, it was also incredibly quiet. Day after day, the routine was the same. The sheep would munch contentedly on the grass, their bells tinkling softly. The sun would trace its arc across the vast blue canvas above. Peter would watch the clouds drift by, imagining them as dragons, castles, and fantastical beasts. He'd talk to the sheep, giving them names and telling them stories, but they were, after all, just sheep. Their only response was an occasional, placid baa. Loneliness began to creep into his heart, followed by a mischievous restlessness. The silence of the hills, once peaceful, now felt heavy and boring. He yearned for excitement, for something to break the monotony. He wanted to see people run, to hear voices filled with urgency, to be at the center of some thrilling event. One afternoon, as he watched the villagers toiling in the fields below, a wicked little idea sparked in his mind. It started as a whisper, a tempting thought that promised a few moments of exhilarating chaos. What if, he thought, what if they thought there was a wolf? His heart began to beat faster at the mere idea. He took a deep breath, filled his lungs with the clean mountain air, and then, with all his might, he shouted, "Wolf! Wolf! A wolf is attacking the sheep." The sound echoed down the valley. Instantly, the peaceful scene below erupted into motion. He saw farmers drop their tools, women run out of their homes, and the village blacksmith, a burly man named Thomas, grab a heavy pitchfork. They all came charging up the hill, their faces etched with concern and determination. Peter watched, his eyes wide with a mixture of guilt and thrill. It was working. When the first villagers arrived, panting and out of breath, they found Peter standing there, trying his best to look frightened. "Where is it? Where's the wolf?" Thomas demanded, scanning the pasture. Peter pointed vaguely towards a thicket of bushes. It ran away when it heard you coming," he stammered. The villagers searched the area thoroughly, their initial alarm slowly turning to confusion. There were no tracks, no scattered wool, no sign of a struggle. The sheep were all calmly grazing as if nothing had happened. Slowly, a realization dawned on them. They looked at Peter, whose face was struggling to maintain a look of innocence. A few of the villagers shook their heads, grumbling about the wasted time and the needless panic, but most were kind. "Well, lad," said an old woman, patting his shoulder gently, "we're just glad you and the flock are safe. You did the right thing to call for help." They trudged back down the hill, their adrenaline fading, leaving Peter alone once more with his sheep and the now deafening silence. He felt a pang of guilt, but it was quickly overshadowed by the lingering excitement of the event. He had been the center of attention. A few weeks passed. The memory of the false alarm had started to fade in the village, but not for Peter. The thrill of that day was a taste he couldn't forget. The quiet days on the hill seemed even more unbearable than before, and so, one sunny afternoon, the temptation became too much to resist. He convinced himself it would be even funnier the second time. He took a deep breath, and once again, his cry pierced the air. "Wolf! Wolf, please, help, the wolf is back." Again, the village sprang into action. They remembered the first time, but the thought of losing their precious flock was too great a risk to ignore. Up the hill they ran, their hearts pounding in their chests, and once again, they found Peter, the sheep grazing peacefully, and no wolf in sight. This time, however, there were no gentle pats on the shoulder. Their faces were not filled with relief, but with frustration and anger. "You lied to us again, boy," Thomas boomed, his voice echoing Peter's earlier cry. "This is not a game. Our work is hard, and our time is precious. We cannot drop everything and run up this hill for your amusement." The villagers muttered in agreement, their eyes filled with disappointment. They didn't even bother to search this time. They simply turned and walked away, their trust in the shepherd boy completely shattered. As they descended, Peter could hear their angry words drifting back up on the breeze. He stood alone, a bitter taste in his mouth. The thrill was gone, replaced by a cold, hollow feeling of shame. Life went on. Peter continued to take the sheep to the hillside each day, but things were different. When he went into the village for supplies, people would look away. The friendly smiles and greetings were gone, replaced by stern looks or cold indifference. The weight of their distrust was heavier than any stone. He was more alone now than he had ever been, surrounded not by the quiet of nature, but by the silence of broken bonds. He promised himself he would never lie again. He understood now that a moment of fun wasn't worth a lifetime of mistrust. Then, one evening, as the sun began to set, casting long, menacing shadows across the pasture, something moved at the edge of the woods. It wasn't a trick of the light. Out from the trees stepped a huge, gray wolf. Its eyes glowed yellow in the fading light, and a low, hungry growl rumbled in its chest. Its fangs were bared, sharp and terrifying. This was no imaginary beast. This was real. Panic, cold, and absolute, seized Peter. His blood ran like ice in his veins. The sheep, sensing the danger, began to bleat in terror, huddling together. Forgetting his own fear for a moment, Peter screamed with every ounce of strength he had, his voice raw with genuine terror. "Wolf, wolf, there's a real wolf. Please, somebody, help me. This time it's real." His desperate cries echoed down into the valley. In the village, people heard him. They paused what they were doing and looked at each other. A farmer sighed. "It's just that boy again, trying to get our attention." Another added, "He thinks we're fools to fall for it a third time." They shook their heads and went back to their evening chores, ignoring the frantic screams that continued to pour down from the hillside. They didn't believe him. Why should they? He had used up all their trust. Up on the hill, Peter watched in horror as the wolf leaped into the flock. He screamed and shouted, waving his shepherd's crook, but it was no use. The wolf was too big, too fast, too ferocious. He watched helplessly as the predator scattered his flock, the terrible sounds of the attack echoing in the twilight. When the wolf had finally had its fill and slunk back into the darkness of the woods, a devastating silence fell. Peter collapsed to the ground, sobbing, surrounded by the ruin his lies had created. The flock was gone, and he was utterly, truly alone. This old story isn't just about a boy and a wolf. It's about something we all deal with every day: trust. Trust is like a strong, beautiful bridge. It takes time and effort to build, piece by piece, with every honest word and every kept promise. It connects us to our friends, our family, and our community. But lies are like a heavy hammer. The first lie might only make a small crack, something that seems easy to ignore. The second lie widens that crack, and before you know it, the whole bridge can come crashing down. Rebuilding that bridge is the hardest work of all. Sometimes, it's impossible. In our lives, our words have power. When we speak the truth, we build strong foundations. People know they can rely on us. They feel safe and respected. But when we choose dishonesty, even for what seems like a small, harmless reason to avoid trouble, to get a laugh, or just to make life more exciting, we chip away at our own integrity. We teach people that our words can't be trusted. The real cost of lying isn't just getting caught. It's the loneliness that follows. It's knowing that when you truly need help, when you're shouting your own version of wolf, people might not listen, because the most important voice you have is the one that speaks the truth. Protecting that voice, and the trust that comes with it, is one of the most valuable things you can ever do. Cherish your integrity, because once it's lost, it's a long, hard climb back up the hill to get it back. Thank you for listening. If you found this reflection meaningful, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories that make us think. Stay true, and stay safe.